Okay, I'm nervous. Okay, let's press play. I was watching YouTube last night and I came across this video, which is basically the behind the scenes on how people record the sound effects of movies. I never really thought how they do it, but I was definitely impressed and very surprised that a lot of sound effects are actually made using food items. There were so many weird ones. For example, the birth of a demon is actually a bell pepper just being completely broken and like squished in your hands. Or if you're watching a horror movie, the sounds of like intestines being like torn apart is actually just spaghetti with sauce. Someone walking on the beach was actually coconuts. It wasn't actual footsteps. I feel like you guys know me by now, and I love making weird YouTube videos, and this is something that I haven't seen anyone else do. So what I thought we should do for today's video is actually replicate these sounds made with food items. I'm gonna play some movie scenes and also some stock footage of like the most random activities, and I'm gonna remove the sound completely, and I'm gonna be sitting at home with food items trying to recreate the sound for that footage. This is gonna be a weird one. I hope you enjoy it. I've got my laptop right here, so I'm gonna play the videos and then I'm gonna play them on the screen next to me, so hopefully this works out. I thought we should start pretty easy. So for the first one, I'm gonna play this movie scene, which is basically people walking on the beach. So I'm gonna try to recreate the footsteps. Oh, this is gonna be so weird. Traditionally, I think they use coconuts for this, but I couldn't find any coconuts, so we're using some butternut squash and also some gravy granules for the sand. It kind of sounds like sand. I don't know if the microphone is powerful enough. I have to be really quiet now because I'm gonna play the footage and I'm gonna try my best at making these sounds. Let's do it. Okay. I'm not sure about this. Let's try with different footage. I feel like it was a little bit too slow. Oh my god. That was way too fast, and also I kind of ripped off my plastic cover, so we're only getting started here. I'm not great at this yet, but let's move on to the next one and hopefully we're going to improve. This next one should be a little bit easier because it's definitely not as weird. So here we've got some watermelon and it's already sliced and ready to be eaten, and basically we're gonna play this scene in which there's a child eating a slice of watermelon. So essentially I am going to recreate the sounds of someone else eating, which is really bizarre and probably very difficult. Oh my god. That was so difficult. I couldn't swallow or like make any noise at all, and also he kept on licking his lips, which was really weird because I wasn't sure if that makes a sound normally. Oh, wow. Nearly died here. I'm very excited for this next one because we're finally getting into horror movies here. So obviously I can't actually play you the horror movie because YouTube doesn't love that for me. Like, I've tried that many times before. Instead, I'm gonna play you the reaction of someone to a horror movie scene, like something very scary, and I'm going to replicate the sound of it. And you might be wondering why we've got a red pepper. So basically, when you see a demon like turning around and sometimes they kind of break their neck, like looking the other way around, that's actually made with a bell pepper. So that's gonna be the inspiration for this next one. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm a demon turning my neck and just breaking everything along the way. Let's see what happens. Wow. All this time we've literally been listening to bell peppers being broken into pieces. Maybe on camera it's gonna sound different, but to me this one was insane. This one is actually very, very believable. That's exactly what they use in horror movies. For this next one, we're staying with the theme of horror movies still, and I love this one because it's almost literal that it actually makes sense. If you've ever watched a horror movie and there's scenes in which someone's insides are like exposed, I know it sounds gross, but like if someone gets cut or there's intestines or any guts, what they actually use is spaghetti with sauce, and they just move it around, and that's supposed to make the sound of like your internal organs bleeding and working and like trying to survive. So obviously I can't play the actual footage of like a horror movie like Guts because you guys are familiar with YouTube, but basically I am going to play, instead I'm gonna play like an educational video about intestines, and I'm gonna try to recreate the sound of the organ. This footage wasn't even that great because this is like an educational video, and I'm gonna say that this is actually very realistic. Like if my eyes were closed and I was just listening to, oh, that sounds so wrong, but also it could definitely be like internal bleeding or something out of a horror movie. So this one is very much proof. I mean, this horror movie stuff, it makes a lot of movies sound way less scary than they did before. So let's move on to the next one, and I'm gonna clean my hands. This next one is very, very interesting because I definitely didn't know this before, but whenever you see animals or babies in movies or TV shows, if they're ever eating something, it's very difficult to use that audio because they eat in like, I don't want to say messy, but basically an animal doesn't know that it's being filmed. Sometimes they make too much noise, other times they don't make enough noise. So almost every time you see an animal in a movie, the sound effects are actually fake. They're added after the movie has been recorded. So I thought for this next one it'd be interesting to recreate the sound of a rabbit eating a carrot. That tastes weird. You'd think that this would be like the easiest one because it's the actual object that the animal is eating in the movie, but it's incredibly difficult to anticipate what the rabbit is gonna do. Like, is he gonna bite on it or just like remove a whole chunk? So this was very difficult. I feel like this didn't sound realistic at all. I'm excited for this next one because this actually makes a lot of sense, even though I also never thought about this. But basically, every time someone is drinking anything in a movie, whether it's wine, hot chocolate, even soup, anything that people are drinking, they almost never use the actual sound of the drinking because it'd be too much with all the acting and everything. It's too difficult to control all these sounds. So actually what you're listening to is just water. It doesn't matter what the drink is, the sound of drinking water is added after you watch the footage. So I'm gonna play the footage of someone drinking tea, and I am going to try to recreate the sound. Okay, I'm nervous. Okay, let's press play. I didn't know if I could swallow because she didn't make any swallowing like movements. But I guess I did a good job. I'm not gonna know until I put together this audio and that image when I'm editing this video, so I'm just gonna hope that I did a good job at this. I tried to do the sounds of like enjoying a drink, like This is just getting creepy now, so let's move on to the next one. If you're ever watching a movie and there's the sound of like a body like dropping from a building and just hitting the ground, most of the times you're probably listening to the sound of a watermelon. So this is supposed to sound like a body hitting the ground. So most heavy objects are actual just melons and watermelons. It's the easiest thing to use. And then I thought this one is interesting too because the sound of bones breaking or like muscles being like torn apart, It sounds like something is like about to snap or about to break. So I've got a clip of a man working out and then he drops his weight, like his working out weight, and essentially pulls a muscle in the process. So I'm gonna try to do like the weights with this, like dropping the weight and then the muscle breaking with this. That was not realistic at all. I feel like I could have done a better job. I think the combination of this footage with this, it doesn't really work out, but I can see how this sounds like bones breaking or like muscles like breaking. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite ones in this whole video because I just think it's funny. So if you're ever watching a movie and there's like a very windy scene and the trees are like moving, the sound of the trees like sort of brushing against each other or like with the wind is actually made with vegetables or anything that you can basically, anything green that you have at home. If you think about it, it actually makes sense because if you're filming a movie and you're filming outside, you can't really control the sound on the outside. You can capture a plane or traffic or things that you don't want in your sound. So if you do it at home with some vegetables, I guess it sounds like actual trees. So I'm gonna play this scene, which is a forest and it's very windy and the trees are sort of like brushing against each other. So let's see if this is realistic or not. In real life, it sounded pretty realistic. The only thing missing was like the wind. You can't really do wind. No, that doesn't really work out. So if you close your eyes, it does sound like trees. So I'm gonna say this is plausible. The butternut squashes are making a return for this next one. And also we've got a little bag of ice. Wow. That sounds magical. I watched a YouTube video on this next one and this is basically how to recreate the sound of snow. I'm not doing exactly what they did on the video, so they grabbed some of the ice cubes and they put it on the floor and then they stepped on it until it became almost like snow, like it breaks until it becomes very tiny icy bits, but we're not going to be doing that because I don't want to ruin my ice because this is all I've got left. So I'm going to use this and try to recreate the sound of footprints on the snow. No, that's not realistic at all. I don't even need to finish. Like, that sounds nothing like snow. It sounds more like stepping in glass than stepping in snow, which is really sad because I actually had great expectations for this one. I kind of wanted to redeem myself from the rabbit one because I feel like I did such a bad job with that one. So for this next one, I'm actually going to play the footage of pigeons, of birds eating. So it's going to be two different sounds essentially. One of them is throwing the food to the ground to feed the pigeons, and the second one is going to be the sound of the pigeons like picking the food. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I should be using bird food, but I actually thought that maybe it works out with peanuts, so we're gonna try to use some peanuts for this. I don't know what to do for the sound. I think the throw was a good sound. It kind of sounded like it could be real. Maybe because this is glass, it doesn't sound as realistic. It should be on the actual floor, but you know. What an experience this was. I mean, hopefully you guys enjoy this. I mean, I have to be honest, I love making weird things on YouTube because I feel like there are so many people making YouTube videos that I feel like I just get so bored as a viewer. So when I think of you guys, I always think, let's make something that hasn't been done before. So because I've never seen anyone giving this a try, we did it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of you guys who like ASMR, and I know this is so not the same thing, but it's kind of similar. I mean, it's somewhere around the ASMR category. If you enjoyed it and you'd maybe like to watch a part 2, I mean, I would love to make it. This is weird, but I love making this. Definitely give this video a like and I will make a part 2. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is your favorite movie or what movie scenes I should recreate next. Maybe I could do like you guys' favorite movies. Let me know in the comment section. And last but not least, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I mean, we're so close to 1.5 million subscribers and it'd be awesome to get there, and anytime soon. Thank you to those of you who subscribe and those of you who've got my notifications on. I always say that like you don't have to, like if you don't like me or you don't enjoy my videos, I mean there's no point on staying around here. There's a lot of different YouTubers that you can go and check, so no pressure, but I would love for you guys to stay. So thank you to those of you who do all those things. I've got a lot more weird stuff coming up. I told you that December was gonna be super weird on my channel, so hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that, and I will see you on my next video, which is gonna be in 1 or 2 days. Bye bye.